Hello everyone and welcome to another video talking geeky stuff with me, Tenshi, and today's topic is about another anime film slash manga creator, Mamoru Oshii. So some of you may recognize his name. Mamoru Oshii is most famous for, in my opinion, Ghost in the Shell, the first two movies, especially the first one. And Ghost in the Shell, in my opinion, is still one of the greatest anime, one of the greatest manga of all time. He did one of the few things a lot of people don't do. I would say he took the manga, kind of made it his own when he did the movie. He kept a lot of baselines, the story touches, the story beats, but he also made it his own. Because you can watch the movie and you can read the anime. Sorry, watch the anime movie, read the manga. That's what I was going to say. I still find something new in each one. Because one thing about manga and anime, they usually follow a lot of similar. You read a manga and the anime will be very similar. Where in this case, it's pretty different, but shares the same story tones and so on. As mentioned, Ghost in the Shell is his most famous work, and considering he only did the first two movies as director, producer, and so on, but from those two films, and it helped. After the two movies came out, for example, right? Dark Horse, I think, if I remember correctly, back in the late 90s, Dark Horse Comics got the rights to release the manga, both in black, white, and color, and that the movie helped the comic or the manga sell. And then from there, it created other anime, like it became its own franchise. For example, like the standalone complex first and second season, to the TV movie Solid State Society. But let me pause here for a minute. I just remembered I actually did a video just talking about Ghost in the Shell a few months ago. I talked about how it influenced me, influenced the industry, both anime and manga, pop culture in general, the cyberpunk and so on, and even animation in general, how it has influenced all that. So if you do have time, please watch that video. Got a bit of detail on how I like it so much. But anyway, back to the point. If you haven't seen Ghost in the Shell, definitely watch that, okay? You have to. It's literally a must for and manga fan, anime fans, manga fans, whatever. You haven't read the manga, read the manga. Just do it. Do yourself a favor and watch them, read them, because it is one of the best. And if you haven't seen the TV shows, standalone complex first and second, watch them. At that time, I think it was like kind of 2002 or 3 when they first come out. And me personally, at that time, the first 5 years of 2000s, to me it was the best TV series, anime TV series. He had, in a certain way, I felt that the TV show separated itself so slightly from both the movie and the manga a little bit. You had the same characters, the same themes. It's a bit more lighter. I wouldn't say it's a bit more less confusing. I would say a bit more straightforward. But what I liked about the TV show is the investigation behind it. How they investigate. Each character uses their unique skills to help with the case. And it's got great dialogue, great story, great animation, great action as well. The TV show is good, and then each season has its own kind of underlying story, the continuation. For example, you had the individual 11. That story, you can buy that, just that story on its own, instead of buying the whole season. And then of course he moves on to Ghost in the Shell Arise, which is more about Makoto when she's younger. I would say a few years before, more like a prequel, to Ghost in the Shell, because the first season shows you how she recruits her team members and so on. And yeah, me personally, I like the Arise story. I like the animation, but not a big fan of the way they designed her. I mean, I don't know. She looks a bit thin, short. I don't know, a bit kind of, yeah. This is me. I prefer her design in the standalone complex. But that's just me. Moving on to his other work. I won't say lesser known work. If you his fan, you've probably seen some of this, if not most of them. Is in my opinion my second favorite franchise of his is the Patlabor. So after watching the first Ghost in the Shell, it was released back in '96 by Manga Entertainment in the UK. Straight after, a few months afterwards, they got the rights and they released Patlabor, the first movie. So already blown away by Ghost in the Shell, I quickly went out and purchased the first movie, Patlabor, on VHS, good old VHS. Checked it out and watched it, fell in love with it straight away. Because, I might have mentioned before, I'm a big Gundam fan. I like mechs. So that kind of got me really, directed by Ghost in the Shell, right? The guy who did Ghost in the Shell. It's got mechs inside. How cool is that? So I watched it. It was, how do you say it? It was different than I expected. Because it had, when you think of mechs, police officers, you think of it more action. But when you watch Patlabor the movie, it wasn't that much action. Just the beginning sequence, a little bit in the middle, and the ending. For a nearly 2-hour movie, there wasn't that much action. But it still blew me away. It was better than I expected because the storyline was so good. Even the scenes that were, some people would consider be dragging. I love the characters, the interaction between the two of them. I love the Captain Goto. His character is great. His two main stars are great. Animation is great for its time. I think it was made in 1989. And if it didn't say 1989 at the end credits, I always think it was made back in like 95 or something. And the story is great. Definitely watch that. Same as Patlabor 2. With Patlabor 2, I kind of had a similar kind of story beats. Action in the beginning, a little bit in the middle, and action scene at the end. But the animation in Patlabor 2 was a lot more. You can see the production value, was raised a lot. The mech designs, the character design was cleaner. Story-wise, I still think Patlabor 1 was better, but 2 was still great, so definitely check that out. As I mentioned, I think I mentioned it earlier on, was he not only just does anime, he also does a lot of live-action movies. I mean, he did the Next Generation Patlabor movie, again, which I actually liked. It's actually not bad. You can see they didn't have the biggest budget, but all considering, they actually did a pretty decent job with the mechs. The characters were good. They kind of represented them. They were closer. I would say they were pretty close to their anime counterparts. I thought the interaction between the cast was great. Story was pretty decent. It has a similar story to Ghost in the Shell. Sorry, am I saying Ghost in the Shell? It had a similar storyline to Patlabor 2. Check that out. And then, of course, he created a TV show for that as well. And I also watched the TV show after watching the anime movie. I watched the anime TV show for Patlabor, which I loved. I got a Blu-ray. And watching the live action, I went and watched the TV show again, Patlabor. And again, it's very different, just like the anime TV show is quite different to the movies. The live action TV shows is quite different to the live action movie. And you can clearly see the live action TV show of Patlabor they didn't have a lot of budget because you barely saw any of the mechs inside. You saw maybe bits and pieces. But one thing I was taken aback of was I love the characters. It was more of a human story. I got to the point where I actually enjoy watching the characters. They were funny, they had character. Got to the point where I didn't really care too much about the mechs. I just wanted to see how these characters progress. So definitely watch that if you can. I think it's only one season. I'm not sure. But anyway, here's some of the stuff he did as director on your left, and as on your right, I did pick some pretty good movies that he did as a writer or producer that I quite like and I recommend. One thing I do recommend is definitely the top top right, Musashi, The Dream of the Last Samurai. Miyamoto Musashi, as anyone who knows about samurais, is a real samurai, which is considered one of the greatest samurais of all time. He had 60 duels, never lost any. So he's actually the most famous samurai, and this is about him. And who doesn't like an anime story about samurais? That one I definitely recommend. I think he only produced that, but yeah, any of these things here I highly recommend. Still bear in mind though, so if I had a criticism about his style, he's very creative, as you clearly see. Sometimes his film's a bit slow pace, and then suddenly the action ramps up. His story can be a bit confusing sometimes, and visually stunning. He knows how to use his budget well. Some of his films you can clearly see has no budget, but as a great filmmaker, he covers it up really good. So I would say if you don't like slow paced films, have a think about it, but I'll guarantee you you'll like at least a few of these here. Anyway, moving on. I'd like to say thank you for your time, and please do like and subscribe to this video to see more talking geeky stuff. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are, and please stay safe. Goodbye.